Hello, everyone. I know there's a bit of lag on this platform, so we'll kind of say questions till the end. But my name is Matthew Schmidt. I am a quantum healing hypnosis practitioner. I used to be a scientist before I went down this path. I still consider myself somewhat of a scientist. So I understand if this may be a little hard to grasp, but just follow along and please don't believe me just because I'm telling you. Go within and find the answers for yourself. Okay. I'm just sharing with you sharing with you what I know so that you can get started and get these messages for yourself. Um, Me being a scientist doesn't actually detract from anything I know now or anything that I know scientifically. It just adds another level of understanding for me. And I've just found a more effective way to do things now. So um, if you don't get too caught up in how things work out scientifically or medically, those are just mechanisms to get you these messages. So we're going to be talking about the message system of the body, how it works, and how you can heal yourself of anything. And yes, I mean anything. And the only limitations are the limitations in your mind. Your mind is so powerful. Look at something like the placebo effect. In over 60% of the cases, it works, and people don't even know they're doing it. Can you imagine if you knew what you were doing? So that's kind of what kind of led me down this rabbit hole, and it's been magical since. Um, in my private sessions, here's a little thing that a lot of people don't know. In my private sessions, I don't heal anyone. Okay, it's a little secret. I teach people how to heal themselves. So it's very empowering once people know how to listen to those messages and that they're the ones that are actually doing the healing. I don't actually do that. You can actually do all of this yourself. Okay. A lot of people have forgotten how to listen to those messages. That's why I facilitate these sessions for people, and it kind of gets their conscious mind out of the way, and I can kind of navigate so that they can get healing they need. Okay. So once you know how to play a game, you don't actually need someone like me. But that's why I want to kind of give you this kind of primer to help get you started and help you realize that you're the one that can uh, heal yourself. So some of you might not like to hear this, but you are actually so powerful that you actually created the physical symptoms you may be experiencing. All right, you create them to teach yourself something. But the beauty of that is, since you created them, you can also uncreate them. Once you get the message and once you get the lesson, whatever it is, you can simply uncreate it. And we're going to go through how to do that. All right. Uh, I should let you know that your belief is so strong that whether you think this will work or whether you think that this won't work, you're right. Okay, so be aware of that. You can talk yourself out of this. I mean, you can say, "Oh, this isn't going to work," and yes, you are that strong. The universe says, "Yeah, your wish is my command. This isn't going to work. That's what you asked for." Um, one of the biggest things that, or general messages I'd like to point out is if you're getting resistance in anything, resistance in your job, resistance in relationships, resistance in anything in any way, it's usually a sign you're supposed to be doing something different. Okay, life is supposed to be fun, and if you're always wiped out and you're always drained and not enjoying life, you should be doing something different. And don't look at these as being anything bad or negative. This is actually you trying to push you in the right direction. So what people call your higher self or your oversoul, your subconscious, it's trying to guide you. And if there was no resistance, there'd be no pressure to do anything different, and you wouldn't learn very much. Okay, so that resistance is actually a good thing because it's guiding you and teaching you what to do. So once you learn how to listen to it, I don't know, you can become very grateful and very appreciative of that resistance. I look at the worst things what I used to call the worst things in my life, and they've actually now become the best things in my life as I see how everything tied together and how it got me where I am today. So I'm very thankful for that. This kind of reminds me of something my old chemistry advisor said. He says you learn way more from the experiments that don't work than the ones you do, and that's so true with life. If everything was easy peasy, you wouldn't do anything different, or you wouldn't learn anything. So we actually give ourselves these experiences to learn from. Okay, so we're going to be talking about how physical symptoms are actually messages, what those mean, and what those translate to. Um, I would say that pain is probably the easiest one to understand for people. If you put your hand on a hot stove, your body tells your mind tells you to, hey, move your hand. You don't have to do it. That's free will. You can choose to let it sit there, but the message is going to get stronger and stronger until you're like, ow, yeah, that's really hot. That hurts, and I'm hurting myself. So you have the choice to leave it there, but your body's telling you to move it. um, in this, we can also get to the root of a lot of mental symptoms. So some of the things that we get to the bottom of in my sessions are like depression, anxiety, uh, bipolar, low energy, sleep issues. You see where those come from. A lot of times, those are you're worrying about things that you find out really don't matter. Okay, so once you get to those, you can just let them go, and then you don't have to worry about them, and that's you kind of rewrite your story then. Okay, um, fears and phobias, they seem really irrational, but once you see where they come from and you can let those go, you just don't need to have them anymore. Okay. One of the common things is stress. People are stressed out about certain things that they don't have control over, and they have to just trust that, like, or realize that other people are on their own path. So they can let go of that stress, and then they just don't need to experience that anymore. They don't have to like live in that stress state, which is actually wearing them down and lowering their immunity and causing like a depressed state. And it's kind of cyclical. A lot of times I find that um, things come back from or stem from like one issue, and they'll actually be multiple issues all going back to the same thing. A lot of it too is releasing fear. I know that comes up a lot in the day and age that we're living in right now. You see people that are very fearful of all the things going on around them. They have some control over, but um, it's kind of overwhelming and they get sucked into the fear of things while they're lowering their immunity and they're actually like making themselves more vulnerable and more susceptible to um, any immune disorder. So things to be aware of. All right, so with physical things, once you get that message and take action if needed, you don't need the physical symptom anymore. Okay, so for me, I cured my epilepsy in a hypnosis session where I got past my conscious mind and saw what the message was. The message was to teach me compassion for the kids that I'm working with now. I was very self-centered before that, and I needed that lesson. Once I got the lesson, I didn't need the symptom anymore, and it just went away. I'll be honest, I really didn't think that it was. I mean, I still was very cautious and very careful and kind of like hesitant to go off my medication and stuff like that because I had lived with this for quite a while. But I've seen it now so many times that I know that's how it works, and I know that's not even my reality anymore. So I don't even worry about it. All right, the message systems are very literal. Okay, even a car accident is not an accident. I think about a car accident in my life. I needed to slow down in life. I needed to like change direction and move on a different path. I was not doing that. So that was a message. And like I said before, if you're getting resistance in anything, try a different direction. I tell people it's like this. Imagine life is like you're like a rat in a maze. You're going through life and everything's going fine, and all of a sudden you hit a dead end. Well, the old me, I mean, I'm just talking about me now, I would try to plow through that, try to plow through the dead end when the message was, hey, just go left, just go left. I wouldn't listen. then it gets a little more severe. Hey, go left, go left. And then if it still doesn't work, then it's like go left, go left. Um, or you can sit there and try to plow through it. You probably eventually get through the wall, but it'd be a lot easier to just listen and take the advice and listen to what you're supposed to be doing, and your life will be a lot easier and a lot happier. Um, one of the issues I had with my issue with a foot or leg, think about what the body part does. It's a very literal system, okay? So with the foot or leg, you're not moving in the direction that you're supposed to. Okay. Mine was kind of like I was dragging my feet to because I had issues with my toes on my right leg. I was dragging my feet going in the direction I was supposed to be going into. Um, I should also mention that if it's on the right side of your body, that has to do with right now. Okay, so there's something in your life right now, and every person that I've seen so far, this holds true. Okay, if it's on the left side of your body, it's something that relates to the past or a past life. So this is a way to kind of narrow it down to kind of see what the message is, and kind of narrow it down. I should say that these are messages that I've received from other people. Um, they're not 100% for you. That's why I say to go within and just ask what the message is, and then you can get that message. But I'm going through a couple of these to kind of show you how it works, and it's also a really good place to start because a lot of times these hold true. I've had 4 or 5 people with the same thing, and they all told me the same, the same reason from the same condition. So, without talking to each other, even knowing each other. So, there's a lot of overlap, and you can get a pretty good idea of what that message system is. So if you have any questions about what these are, feel free to put them in the comment section and I'll get to them at the end. I won't be answering them in real time, but I'll just look through the list at the end, okay? Um, like I said before, the epilepsy I had was to teach me passion. Once I got that message, it just went away. I'm off all my medication for that, and I just didn't need it. I was also diagnosed with ADHD and was on medication for that. And I saw of where that came from and just kind of reframed it, and then got off all the medication for that. So um, I'll go through a couple other examples that I've had. Blockages in arteries and veins was actually like a blockage in guilt. So that they think about the arteries and veins, they feed the heart. Well, there's guilt about a loved one's death. And in my sessions, it's cool because I get to ask every time I think I have the answer figured out. Turns out that's not what it is. So it varies for each person. So you have to go within yourself and kind of and ask what that is. Um, I've had permanent nerve damage. So the permanent part was actually just a memory of pain. It wasn't actually from any pain itself, but that memory can be so strong that you're recreating that original pain. And this person had lived with this for 10, 15 years like this, and it was all in mind. Okay. I've had, I think, 4 people so far with hypothyroidism, and every single person has told me that they're not speaking up about something in their life. So one of those people came back to me and said, "Oh, everything's better except um, I'm on the highest dosage now for my hypothyroidism." I said, "Well, if I recall, was it that you weren't speaking up about something?" They're like, "Oh, I'm not doing that. I'm in no position, no position to speak up about things." So the message gets stronger. If you don't get the message the first time, it comes back stronger. Um, but once you know how to listen, you still have the free will. You still have free will to choose not to do that. Just like putting your hand on the stove, you can leave it there. Just the message gets stronger to, hey, you better move it, or the damage is going to be greater. I've had several people with cancer that have healed themselves, um, and this is tied to anger. Sometimes it's anger of self. The area of the body tells you more about what that's tied to. So, like with breast cancer, is one of the examples you have to use. It's like anger about not being nurtured, and it usually stems back from childhood. Not always, but in a couple of the cases that I've seen. So, the thing is, with our medical technology, and I worked on anti-cancer drugs, so I mean I've been on the other side of this, but um, the problem that happens is you always have to, even if things go into remission, the cancer can always come back. So, and that's because you didn't get the message. So, if you have cancer of a certain part of your body, you can chop the body part off, but if you didn't get the message, it's going to come back. Um, so just be aware that some people are like, well, why does it come back for some people? Cancer is very severe. It's a very strong message, and a lot of times when people are about to die, they reflect on their lives and they change something in their lives. That's why it doesn't come back. Okay, it's a process, and cancer is a very elegantly designed message system to get that message across. Okay, but you created it and you can uncreate it. It's that simple. Things with the shoulders and back. Think about your shoulders and back. People that have problems with that, they're carrying the weight of the world on their shoulders. They're carrying too much. That's why they have problems with their back. Um, Sometimes these originate in um, from like a past life. That's what birthmarks are. I've had people with migraines, and they go back to a time when they had blunt force trauma to the head in another life, and it's very interesting because the event in a past life actually um, correlates to the time when the headaches start in the with the person now. So let's say a person, I don't know, got a bullet to the head at age 30. The person in this life will start experiencing headaches at age 30. And that's actually it's like a residue from that other life. And because it's not actually this life now, those are actually really easy to release because that's not even a message now. That's just kind of a residue from another timeline, and they can just release it then. People ask me sometimes about, well, what if this is karma? Um, I've been told that karma is kind of the thing of the past. It's actually holding people back from going through this shift and raising their vibration. So karma is kind of the thing in the past, and it doesn't really serve anymore. It only exists if you still believe in it, or if you came in. I've had people that have come into the world with this, and they can just release it because it's not needed anymore. If they think they need it, they're actually just recreating it, and it actually would have gone away. So a few things to be aware of as you're going through this are your mind. What you think can't happen, what you think will happen, um, everything and what you think is possible, any limitations you have. Also, your free will. You have a choice to not let this stuff go. Or I don't know how many times in the session people say, just let it go, just let it go, because they're hanging on to stuff. Uh, so kind of let that go. And a person with arthritis in their hands, they were hanging on to stuff. They weren't they weren't like letting go of something they were hanging on to. So uh, that was the message from that. In my sessions, that I find that sometimes people hold back because they don't want to tell me things because they're worried about what I would think of them, and this is very natural. But you also have to be open and honest with yourself. Okay, um, I've had my own stuff that I've buried down far, super far, and I just didn't want to deal with it and wasn't very open and honest with myself. So um, some of those things are still kind of coming up. So it's kind of a process, but the more open and honest you are with yourself, and the more that you just kind of surrender to the process, the more that you're going to get out of this, and the more like the more that you'll benefit. There's some other conditions where I don't know. You probably all know someone like this where they just can't let go of a condition. Like they talk about their next appointment for this, or they talk about their medication for this, and every time you see them, that's all they talk about because they identify so strongly with that that almost becomes their identity. Um, they would have a hard time letting it go. They'll say, "Oh no, I don't want this," but it's become so much ingrained as like they identify so strongly with it that it's very very hard for them to just let go of. I've had um, the one condition that I still have, my vision, my glasses. I have a hard time letting go of that. I've had glasses since I was in second grade. I identify as a self-proclaimed nerd, and I had a hard time letting go of it. Even in my own like sessions and stuff, I wasn't ready to let go of that. I also still do a lot of dumb stuff that this is my protection for my eyes. So it's helped me quite a few times even in the last month. So until then, and until I can get past that, that's going to be a thing for me, and I know that, but I'm also okay with that. So I'm becoming aware of these things and um, seeing what your relationship is to that. Are you really willing to let that go and be okay with that? Some people like the attention from certain things, so they don't actually they'll say they want it gone, but a physical thing healed, but they don't really. Okay, so those are some of the messages from the body. Um, if you want to know more, Um, I'll be referencing this book, Soul Speak by Julia Cannon. Uh, Her mother was the one who developed the technique that I'm doing, quantum healing hypnosis technique. That's what I do in my private sessions. And she was guided to write a book about the message system of the body and how it works and how to heal yourself. So I'll be taking a little bit from there if I don't know the answer to any of your questions. If you're curious about any disease or any physical symptoms, what the message would be, you can put those in the comments and I'll get you an answer to what those would be. All right, next we're going to move into how to release it and how to get past these symptoms. Okay, so the first thing that we want to do, I do this. I haven't gotten sick in. Oh, I'm not really sick. Not sick for more than a day in the last 2 years. I used to miss 5 or 6 days of school easy, every year, and or more. And school isn't even a full year, so um, or work isn't even a full year. So um, yeah, so the first thing to do is ask what the cause is. Okay, so however you do this, if you however you quiet your mind. Some people like to meditate. I'll get answers while I'm cutting the lawn. Some people like to run, but ask what's the cause of this. And I know a lot of you have medical backgrounds or are in like the medical field or know like what the medical answer is. I used to love to know the answer, so my mind jumps in like, oh, I know that. No, just listen to the first thing that comes through and kind of avoid medical answers because those are the mechanisms to get you the message. They're not the actual root of what the message is. Okay, so just try to quiet that part of your mind and then trust the first thing that pops into your mind. Um, so just however you get there, kind of listen, trust the first thing that pops in your mind. All right, then you want to get to the root. So what the root is would be kind of what emotion is tied to it. Okay, so ask the same way that you're asking what emotion is tied to this condition. Okay, and then I usually just ask what's the message. So a lot of times if I'm getting a cold or getting run down, I'll be like, what's the message? A lot of times it's like rest. If I'm getting a headache, a lot of the times it's drink more water. It can be that simple. Okay. So I ask what's the message? What are you trying to tell me? Once you get the message, it's actually pretty easy. You say, okay, I got the message. You thank whatever for the message. Uh, Thank you, higher self, for the message. I got the message. I don't need it anymore. Please release it. Um, and then sometimes you can picture white light flowing through your body or releasing it and sending it into the light to teach someone else and have them get a message from that. Sometimes this can be very powerful. Um, I've seen people when they release these things, it can actually be very powerful. I've seen people like freezing, shaking, and under piles of blankets. I've seen people sweating and crying and everything you can imagine. But just be okay and let. It can be very powerful. So just be okay with whatever comes up, and know that when that happens, it's a very powerful release. You're letting go of so much, and you'll feel so much better after you do that. And then you realize how much stuff you're actually hanging on to. A lot of times you're not even aware of it. So then the next thing would be to take action if necessary. If the message is this job is what's making you sick, you're not doing your passion, you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. You're in a toxic relationship. Um, we're giving you this resistance to help you realize this. There's a reason you're not getting along and haven't gotten along for a long time. Okay. If you don't do anything about it, the messages are going to get more and more severe. Okay. If you find out that it's something from a past life, you can just say, this is not my life now. Please release it. And it goes away. Um, if it's tied to someone else, um, you can picture picture the contract with that person. You don't actually have to confront that person. This works a lot of times too, especially if the person is deceased. So you've had a contract with that person, and a good way to do it is visualize that person, visualize the contract as like a piece of paper. Okay, and I'm actually going to take this from Julia's book, but take that piece of paper and then imagine the person and see yourself holding the contract with them. Okay. A lot of times it's too difficult to do this face to face, and that's okay. Or the person has passed on or doesn't live anywhere near you. But in your mind, you can tell this person, hey, we tried, we really tried. And then see yourself tearing up the contract and saying, I forgive you, I release you, I let you go. And as the torn contract falls to the ground, you can say, go your way with love, and I'll go my way. We don't have to be connected any longer. You'll feel a great sense of relief from this and a great sense of freedom, because it'll be more difficult for the person to push your buttons and you have any control over your life. It's very powerful. Here's another way you can do this too. This is a good way to clear all those connections that you have with people, by saying, I forgive all those who hurt me in this life in any way at all. I ask forgiveness of all those I have hurt in this life, in any life, in any way at all. I forgive myself for the part I played in my transgressions in this life, in any way at all. And this is a good way to cover like all your bases with just one saying. All right. So I know a lot of times people have had a hard time doing this on their own. So if you would like me to create a hypnosis for this, I don't have one yet, but I could probably whip something up of, since everyone's kind of stuck at home and not doing sessions right now. I could do one for you if that'd be something you're interested in. Throw it in the comments below, and I'll try to get something up written up for next week, where you can go inward and release something in your life, and heal up some physical symptoms. I've seen this work when I wasn't even trying, when we weren't even trying to heal anything, because they got the message, so it just went away. So if we direct this towards actually doing that with the goal of doing that, we can totally do that. Are there any other questions about any other physical symptoms that we have, that you wonder what the message might be from that? Once again, I'm not really plugging the book, I'm just saying there's a lot of information in this book about what the specific messages mean. This is Soul Speak by Julia Cannon, daughter of Dolores Cannon. And she does a really good job of going through all the different symptoms or physical symptoms of the body and what they mean. So if we want to know, we can think about what's the function of that that organ, or what's the function of that system, and what is that literal message trying to tell me. Okay. If you're not watching this live, you can still put your questions in the comments below, and I'll do my best to answer them. And if any of you want me to create a hypnosis for this next week, let me know. Put it in the comments below, and we'll see you next week. All right, thanks a lot, guys. Okay, sorry, I didn't scroll down. I saw some of the comments below. All right, it wasn't scrolling. All right, Laura asked about things like bones and bone on knees and bones. In some of my sessions, I actually hear bones moving into place. People that have been in car accidents. If you're familiar with Dr. Joe Dispenza, he talks a lot about, he was actually hit on a bicycle, and the doctor said he'd never walk again, and he actually used his mind to put all the bones back together in his back and realign his spine. And yeah, that actually he actually basically put himself back together just by thinking about it. So there was a person in my class who had cartilage replaced in her knee, and yeah, you can picture the bone going back. The bone in your knees is probably something about moving in the direction that you're supposed to. On the left side would be something that you weren't moving towards in your past, or something that you're not moving away from in your past. And then the right side would be something you're not stepping into what you're supposed to be doing in the future. All right, rashes on my feet. All right, so the rash doesn't mean as much as the part of the body. The thing that I mentioned before was actually a toenail condition, and it was kind of that I was dragging my feet going into this new path of becoming a hypnosis practitioner and helping people to heal themselves. So the rashes on your feet would probably be that you're not stepping into your might be that you're not stepping into your power. You're not stepping into a position that you're supposed to. You're not stepping forward with a decision in your life or a relationship in your life. All right. Thank you from Singapore. Respiratory problems. So the respiratory problems could be another thing. I've had people with some of the things, so with some respiratory issues, and they actually tied to other conditions and didn't have their own. I will look into so the lungs represent like the breath of life, and uh, they indicate kind of like a fear to live life to its fullest. You're at a loss of joy for one's life, and there's no life in your life. You're trying to stop life. In other words, you kind of don't want to live your life. So I know with lung cancer, it can be like not wanting to live, and anger at your life situation. So with asthma, I've had people that went to like past lives where the way they died was from like strangulation or drowning, asphyxiation, things like that. So you have to do your own um, exploration to see what it might be. Fibromyalgia. I've had people where it's not, since the nerves are like it's nerve pain. The nerves are um, trying to send messages to your body, so you're not getting messages that are for you. That's kind of the same with MS. There's a problem with your message system. You're not getting some message that you're supposed to. Um, Thank you for offering to help with my glasses. So diabetes. All right. Okay, cool. So that's awesome. So the diabetes is kind of a big deal, and I've had people, yeah, they say about the lack of sweetness in their life. So not having the joy or the sweetness in their life, and there's something that they're not letting go of. So the thing I like to do is I ask a ton of questions when we get to something, especially if it hasn't been released or the person's tried a lot of other ways. Um, I've had someone that had been trying to get rid of something. It was a healer that had been trying to get rid of something for 10 years, trying everything that she knew. And it turns out that it was like buried under layers and layers and layers. So I guess getting to the root of that issue and seeing where it comes from, and maybe she's not releasing all of it. So you kind of have to dig deep to get the gold on that one. All right. All right, Crystal. Quantum healer with a bad ailment. Okay. Your energy is blocked from it. Never felt this to extremes, so it's weird. Um, I think I'd have to know what it is, Crystal. Um, oh, okay. Yeah, in the inbox. Okay. Yeah, I can chat with you privately. If there's something that you don't want to talk about too, we can discuss that privately. I'd be happy to help you. So inflammation in the gut is sometimes it's something that you can't stomach. There's something that you're having a problem digesting, or there's something that you can't stomach. Inflammation could also be a sign. I had one person recently that would have this, and the message was food is not the answer. This person was um, kind of using this to like as a buffer to, they say like comfort foods and stuff like that. This person was looking to food for the answer, and that was the message from that. Um, Eczema, I'd have to know. I haven't had anyone that has had eczema yet, but um, so it could be from too much energy coming into the body, or that you were possibly burned in another life. So it could have a past life linkage, or it could be that you have too much energy coming into the body, and the left side would be in the past. My guess is, since it's on the left side, it'd probably be something in your past life tied. Maybe you were a burn victim. All right. Yeah, Crystal, I'll get to you. All right. Your feet hurt when you're walking. Okay, that's what we said about moving forward in the direction that you're supposed to. I've had even in the group hypnosis that we did, the um, past life regression, person that I done it with actually had a bone spur that went away immediately after we did that group session. And the thing is, they were digging their heels in about moving forward in their direction. And it actually didn't get rid of it completely. It did at the time, but it said that would be her barometer to know that she's on the right path. So I thought that was pretty cool because she can judge in real time how well she's doing and what she should be doing. So they said it would kind of come and go. Because I did a follow up session with her, a private session, and that's what they said it was. So kind of cool that she can get that. Um, let's see. AFib in your mom causing strokes and dementia. So I'm guessing that dementia is more a side effect than the actual cause. A lot of times when I do these sessions, like I find that we can work our way back and we get to um, what the actual cause is. But I know dementia is and like Alzheimer's is someone's holding on to them in this life, or they're holding on to something in this life, and it's preventing them from crossing over and making that transition. So it could be a sign of that. And the arterial fibrosis, I don't know offhand. I have to get back to you, Kathy. Um, Spider bite. I don't know what this message from the spider would be. I'll have to get back to you. Um, okay, I'm looking forward to it. um, can we take quantum healing hypnosis technique on behalf of someone to help him? That's your last one. Um, okay. Yes, you can. So, quantum healing hypnosis technique, I've actually done uh, help people heal who I've never met. It's called a surrogate session. You ask questions on a person's behalf if they're unable to, but ultimately the journey is theirs. So if it came down to, you can heal a person to an extent, but if they are not taking action that comes up in these things, um, the symptom may come back. So I've had some things be completely alleviated for people I've never met, and then I've also had things where the person still had free will and they can choose to not get the message or not do what the message says, and the message returns. So yes, you can totally do that. All right. Um, so if it's yeah, so since it goes back to our heart, Kathy, um, that would be about think about what the heart does. So it's like um, there's a lack of love, or there's something wrong with love in her life. So if you think about it that way, and think about the heart stroke, there's a disconnect between the heart mind coherence. Okay. Um, I haven't had anyone with those specific conditions, but that's kind of what I'm getting right now. So, all right. Oh my gosh. Thank you for all the good questions. And Crystal, I will follow up with you in just a second. Thank you so much for joining me. And um, I will create a hypnosis. I've never done this, but I've gotten amazing healing from people or for people doing this or doing like the group sessions, and that wasn't even the primary focus. So I'm going to make a specific one for you guys, and I'll get back to you next week with self hypnosis to heal yourself. All right, thank you guys for joining in, and we'll see you next week.